This is the presentation for Team Runacha for the Social Innovation Case Competition of 2016. In examining the challenges facing Fairtrasa, we determined that the problem lies in the training and administration costs that are stunting their ability to scale. To solve the problem, our recommendation is to modify the three-tier model from a vertical progression into a development cycle, which is self-reinforcing and sustainable. This development cycle will build upon the strengths of the current three-tier model, but will reallocate resources to revenue-generating activities and reduce the training burden and costs to Fairtrasa.
There is a revenue imbalance in the current model, where Tier 3 earns the revenue and Fairtrasa puts most of it into Tier 1 through training and interest-free microloans. This is a costly model. What if the investment was reallocated? Currently, there are only 2 Tier 3 farms working with Fairtrasa who carry all of the burden of earning revenue. If Fairtrasa invests resources in Tier 2, this will increase Tier 2 conversion rates to Tier 3, leading to additional growth and sustainable revenues. How is Tier 1 impacted? Let's take a deeper look at the three-tier development cycle. In the existing model, Fairtrasa trains Tiers 1, 2, and 3. Fairtrasa certifies Tiers 1 and 2, develops Tiers 2 and 3, and lends interest-free microloans to Tier 1. This is expensive. In our proposed model, Fairtrasa empowers Tier 3 farmers to train Tier 1 farmers, incentivizes relationships between different tiers, and uses saved funds to focus on Tier 2 conversion.
This would alter the relationship between Fairtrasa and Tier 3 farmers. Currently, Tier 3 firms are business partners with Fairtrasa. There is no focus on development outside of internal operations, and they are independently run. Our proposed model would rely on Tier 3 to train and mentor Tier 1 farmers. Fairtrasa would then become a strategic partner to Tier 3 firms. The training programs offered by Tier 3 firms would be jointly created by Tier 3 organizations and Fairtrasa. Here is an example of how this works.
Maria is a 51-year-old small-scale avocado farmer. She is a widower, raising 2 daughters on her own, and believes in growing high-quality fruit. She believes Fairtrasa is improving her livelihood so that she can take care of her family, including her grandchild, for the long term.
Pedro is a 28-year-old farmer who lives on land that his family has cultivated for the past 50 years. He is not married, but looks after his entire family and wants to continue the family tradition of farming. Recently, Pedro took over the fieldwork from his aging father. He wants to scale his business and export his crops, but he doesn't know how to do it. Pedro is anxious to gain the necessary skills to grow his business.
Hola, Pedro.
Hola, María.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Cómo está tu granja?
Mi granja está genial. Nuestras ventas han subido y estamos exportando con Fairtrasa. ¿Cómo está tu granja?
No tan bueno.
Te puedo ayudar, Pedro. Podemos trabajar juntos para mejorar tu granja. Pronto tu granja va a producir suficiente para vender afuera del Perú.
Thanks to the local structure of the developmental cycle, Pedro has a friend and mentor to guide him as he progresses from a Tier 1 farmer to a Tier 3 farmer. This begins with Maria sharing her experiences with Pedro and introducing him to Fairtrasa.
In the initial stages, Maria is the main point of contact for Pedro. She mentors him on best practices, helps implement changes to make him eligible for certification, and helps with initial purchases.
Fairtrasa's role at this stage is to support Maria and coach her on how to help Pedro as needed. Fairtrasa also helps him with the logistics of certification. If Pedro progresses to Tier 2, Fairtrasa provides Maria with a compensation payment for helping Pedro and incentivizes her to find more people. Once Pedro moves to Tier 2, the roles of Maria and Fairtrasa shift.
Maria now becomes a resource to Pedro as opposed to the primary facilitator of his training. She allows him to visit her farm to gain exposure to best practices in growing techniques and offers local support as he continues to progress.
Fairtrasa, on the other hand, takes a much more involved role with Pedro at this point. They take over the training process entirely, and they facilitate his remaining certifications. They now have the financial resources to guide Pedro to a co-op and lead that co-op from a Tier 2 to a Tier 3 farm.
In the last stage of the development, Pedro now enjoys the full benefits of working in a Tier 3 farming association for Fairtrasa and is able to earn more revenue than ever before through Fairtrasa export channels. Pedro is now in a position to mentor those who are still struggling on Tier 1 farms.
Fairtrasa continues to connect Tier 3 farmers like Pedro to the world market, compensating Pedro with a competitive price for his produce. They continue to support Pedro's farming association by helping them become better equipped and more efficient, and they also teach Pedro how to effectively mentor Tier 1 farmers. Hola Luis.
Hola Pedro.
¿Cómo está tu granja? As the development cycle progresses, it becomes more self-sustaining. Having been through the process himself, Pedro feels empowered to help others achieve the success that he now enjoys.
We recognize that during the growing season, farmers have little to no time to train other farmers. However, the Fairtrasa farmers in Peru have the advantage of staggered growth seasons for different crops. This means that farmers in the off-season have bandwidth in their schedule to provide the support that will drive the development cycle. In addition, while each crop requires specialized techniques, many of the lessons learned within the development cycle are transferable regardless of the crop. As locals teach locals, farmers will improve their earning potential and network with one another to develop a fully engaged Fairtrasa community.
Achieving this vision of the development cycle will not happen overnight. We recommend that Fairtrasa roll out the cycle in 3 phases. In Phase 1, Fairtrasa will introduce the development cycle to Tier 2 farmers who will be accountable to this program as they become successful in Tier 3. Fairtrasa will gauge interest among current Tier 3 members about mentoring Tier 1 farmers and will incorporate their feedback into the details of the cycle.
To incentivize, Fairtrasa will offer compensation to Tier 3 volunteers who successfully identify Tier 1 candidates. Fairtrasa will also explain to Tier 2 that training Tier 1 will be an expectation of conversion when they convert to Tier 3 farmers, underscoring the value of community development.
In Phase 2, Tier 3 shadows Fairtrasa training program for Tier 1, while Fairtrasa continues training Tier 1 and Tier 2 farmers. Fairtrasa also gives Tier 3 assignments on who to mentor, taking existing relationships into account.
Tier 2 begins to receive more resources from Fairtrasa, and the Fairtrasa community network grows.
In the third phase, Tier 3 farms become responsible for Tier 1 training programs. Fairtrasa scales back involvement with Tier 1 farmers, and Fairtrasa puts most of their resources towards Tier 2 development.
In this final phase, now there is an established Fairtrasa community where farmers can turn to each other for guidance and advice. Tier 3 farmers continue to receive bonuses for finding and developing Tier 1 farmers. Tier 2 conversion rates increase, thus growing the program and bringing in additional revenue for continued expansion.
As with any new strategy, there are benefits and risks. Some of the benefits of this plan are that the development cycle reduces training costs, drives the revenue engine, increases expansion, creates local sustainability, and is a replicable process across regions and countries.
Some of the risks may be that Tier 3 farmers do not want to aid Tier 1 farmers. Also, there may be no local transmission of goodwill. In the short term, Tier 1 may receive less impact. Training is limited by geography, and farming techniques may differ greatly between crops.
With the successful implementation of the development cycle, Fairtrasa will increase supply to the international market. In order to generate more demand to meet the supply, we propose that Fairtrasa share the stories of their farmers along with their produce. The greatest marketing tool Fairtrasa has is the story of the farmers themselves. As their fresh, organic products make it to the grocery store in developed markets, Fairtrasa should create displays with a description of the farmer and a QR code. This connects the customer with those they are impacting and humanizes the supply chain. Customers will feel more connected, leading to increased sales and potential donations.
In addition to donations from customers through the marketing displays, we feel that the development cycle addresses the needs of financial aid. Through our solution, Fairtrasa will enjoy increased revenues leading to expansion capabilities, capture additional donations from the promotional QR codes, which adds an extra income source, help Tier 3 farmers offer microloans, resulting in sustainable lending, and reduce the cost burden on Tier 1 training, leading to Tier 1 expansion, which ultimately is Fairtrasa's goal. Fairtrasa is changing lives in Peru, but with the readjustment of resources, they will scale their impact even more. Fairtrasa is at a crossroads, and in order to impact the most farmers, it's time for them to alter their model from hands-on mentorship to empowering local mentors. The development cycle builds community, increases conversion to Tier 3, and generates more revenue. By following this plan, Fairtrasa will be able to replicate its model across Peru and into other developing markets.
Gracias.